95.1, home of the Breakfast Club. I got my girl Erica Ford in the building today. One of my favorite on-the-ground soldiers.
Facts.
What do you call yourself? Like community activist?
I like that.
Because you're more than just like activist.
Yes,
you're
yes.
actually on the ground.
Yes,
at
I'm
war.
a humble servant. That's all I am.
A humble servant?
Yes.
And you have been a humble servant for how long?
31 years.
Good Lord.
And I'm just 32.
I know. Since she was 1 years old, she's been in the streets. And Kepra
Kears, Director of Therapeutic Wellness Services at Life Camp.
At Life Camp. So they rolled up today in their new Peace Mobile.
Yes.
Erica has been telling me about this Peace Mobile. I finally got to see it today. It's amazing. Tell everybody what it is.
So it's a 35-foot recreational vehicle. It's covered with full orange, and on a side outside of it is peace is a lifestyle. So you get the branding messaging when we're pulling up. It's all about peace. And then when you go inside, it's a kitchen area that we call Kepra's Kitchen, where we do the wellness and therapeutic services, helping people to go alkaline and just move from a space of trauma and heal. Then we have a area with a couch, a full long couch, where we have healing circles or conversations with families.
They have a DJ. They have like a microphone set up in there.
Mic check 1 2. Always gotta have the booth.
Recording studio.
State-of-the-art recording studio. Where you do what? People could scream on the mic,
Paint
or
on
record,
beats, or get in the booth and just let it out. Yeah.
Paint on beats. You tired of the streets. You just want to go inside the booths and kick it off beats. You know?
Okay.
Mic
All
check
right.
1 2.
Erica.
Instead of picking up that gun and killing that dude, you know what I'm saying? Let the pain out. I don't know.
You've been
raise your
practicing?
brain.
You've been
yes,
practicing.
I've been practicing.
You've been practicing.
Ever since the girls, what?
Let me just say this. It's very cool. It's this big mobile healing unit that they go to different neighborhoods, especially when there's some trauma, something has occurred, or some incident of violence, or you're called sometimes specifically to come by an event, and you treat people on site, and then also teach people on site how to keep going with these healing practices.
Correct.
Was that a fair?
Yeah, that's correct. When you first walk in, the first thing you experience is the scent, because aromatherapy is healing.
It smells so good. It smells like lavender and
lemongrass.
Yes, it just feels. I was stressed out earlier today. I had like super annoying phone calls earlier. I got on the bus and I was like, oh. you immediately feel a sense of like, oh.
Yeah.
And that's just dumb stress. Like my stress is not. It's nobody was shooting at me this morning.
Right.
So imagine walking around with the stress of being around gun violence in the morning and what your afternoon feels like.
It's that dumb stress, quote unquote, of a parent that leads to the stress of a child that would pick up that gun. Because the parent is so stressed, they don't have the ability to provide that compassion to their child, because they never can be present, because they're always busy dealing with their stress, and the stress that we have as adults is real. It's the bills, the husband, the wife, the rent, the kids, the expectation of safety for your children, not being able to protect them, being able to protect them. It's a lot of things that people are stressed about. So it's not just for people who are like in crisis and just got in a fight, just got in a shootout. It's for them too, but it's also for the families. It's very much for the families as well, because if you don't help the families, then how do you help the child?
Well, also keep in mind that studies say that 1 in 3 people of color suffer from PTSD, because like you said, it's cumulative stress. So it used to be thought that if you experienced one traumatic incident, you'd have PTSD. Like if you serve in the military, they say if you do one tour of duty and you serve in one war, you can have a lifetime of stress, a lifetime of trauma. Well, they say that Black and brown people have a lifetime of trauma from, whether it's from slavery, Jim Crow, you think about all the violence, we've never really had any reprieve. There's never been any therapy after every major crisis, civil rights movement. Every other day you see people on social media now being killed by either our own communities or police. So that cumulative stress from everyday life
even
becomes
just seeing
PTSD.
That.
Yes.
Even just seeing that, even if you don't personally experience it.
Yes.
The times when these horrific things happen and we are all so invested in it, I know it's literally kept me up at night and stressed out.
I remember I had called you one day, as I do most of my friends who are in the entertainment. When I get stressed out looking at something like, you got to help get the word out, because and we saw that person being shot by the police. And it was like, and I told Angie, don't even look at it. I said, don't look at the video because it's so traumatic. And that is real. Like when we see on TV and we hear about those things, it makes people fearful for their children's safety, and you have so many things to think about. And that's why it's important on what we do at Life Camp and all of the other members of the crisis management system to go before the 911 is called, right? And to be there to intervene and intercede with violence incidents that could cause you to be someone who shoots somebody or be shot by somebody, and all the people that you interact with. And that's why we treat violence as a public health issue, because it's a disease.
Yeah.
And
how do you get people to trust you? I mean, I can kind of figure this out because I know you're respecting the streets and you've been doing this work for a long time. But people who don't know you show up in a neighborhood, there was a shooting 2 days ago. How do you get those people to trust you and to get on the bus and actually engage in the services?
One thing is real, recognize real, right? And the other thing is we bring real people with us, right? And so people know certain people in certain neighborhoods. And that's why the people who are inherent to the neighborhood, the OGs, the shot callers, the influencers, are who we hire, who works with us and gives the authority or the okay for people to want to get help.
You just don't roll up in a strange, an unfamiliar neighborhood, right?
No. If it's a case of an emergency and there's an emergency, so with the new RV that we just got a month ago, we will be rolling up in other neighborhoods, but we're going to respect the neighborhood and we'll look to see. We're meeting in advance with people in all of the areas of Queens who are the shot callers, who are the OGs, to let them know this is what we're getting ready to do. We've met with we're going to be meeting with all of the police chiefs and captains in the different areas to let them know this is what we're going to do, so that it's not a surprise. So you got to do pre-work before you go in. And then people know in those neighborhoods who is the person who has the potential to be shot. They know who that wild kid is, And so we'll be working with those and supporting people who are already on the ground doing the work. And that's what we're here for, to support a lot of the other organizations like 6ix9ine in Queensbridge and Rock Safe Streets in Far Rockaway. And Lou Got Cash.
Yeah. Didn't you just tell me you did a Lou Got Cash concert?
Yeah, we was out at his concert. Him and Bay Lloyd had a concert last Friday. And
you bring the Peacemobile to concerts? We brought the
Peacemobile and the VIP specialist, which is the violence intervention and prevention specialist, out. And we made sure that there was no incidents between the different people from different crews and sets and gangs, because they brought everybody together. And then no incident between the police.
And you know that there's a potential.
Yes. And with what's going on now in New York City, every event is a potential for a problem, because these young kids have so much beef with each other over nothing, and there's a lot of incidents in all of our areas where the crisis management system is. Violence is down. But it takes a lot of work to stop someone from doing an incident of violence, and so outside of our target area, there's incidents of violence. At these parties, at the places where they congregate, there's incidents. And that's why we want to expand our work to go to these public events.
So what do? You show up at like this concert, Lou Got Cash concert, and then what happens when you pull up?
So one, just by our mere presence, we're setting a different tone, right? And so
this big orange Peacemobile sign outside. It's hard to walk past the Peacemobile acting hard, acting too tough.
And so we might just say, yo, come here for a second before you go inside, and pull you on and be like, yo, not tonight, not here.
Because you can tell right away.
Yes, but plus people know who got beef, and they know who's in what gang, who's in what crew. People know. And so it's that. And then if something pops off, we're there to mediate. And we mediated 2 incidents that night, but, it's all about mediating and just getting them to have a level head. As Kepper always says, like Grandma said, just sit and be still, Just
be still. How do you do that? How do you just get them on the bus and you...
Well, some is just going directly up to them. And like one guy would take one of our staff members would take one, and one staff member take another one. The young kid, Jafari, that you saw, he's very good at, snatching weapons out of people's hands and stopping them, and because he's a martial arts expert as well. And so, and a lot of these kids doing these incidents are 12, 13, 14, 15 years old.
So here's an example also. A lot of this is vibrational, right? What makes you upset is what's happening inside of you, and that's energy, right? Energy in motion is emotion. And so we know that when you get on the bus, the first thing you experience was the scent. That's vibrational, designed to automatically bring you down, right?
I immediately felt a sense of calm.
Yes. And then even tones. We can do a sound bath, right? Take you into the back part, put you in the meditation chairs, and just tones. Just like how music makes you automatically want to move, there's certain tones that's like vibrational medicine. It automatically brings you down. Even just the way that you talk to people, the way that we connect,
You have a very soothing voice.
Oh, give thanks.
So because you know me for a lot of years.
Your voice not as soothing, Erica.
No, and neither was my behavior, right? And so I had to become the first transition, right? I had to go through my own
significant transition.
Yes, and so a lot of that is the work that Kepra did with me, from making me go from the angry peacemaker, as Deepak calls me, to the heart leader, And so, because I'd be like, yo, what the fight, fighting with everybody. I used to fight with everybody, right? Police, politicians.
Same intention, though.
Yes.
Same intention, but different delivery now.
Because it's not the situation. It's how you relate to yourself in the situation, right? So if you say something to me, how I relate to myself based on what you said is going to cause me to respond to you. But if you're someone that doesn't mean anything to me and you say the same thing, I don't react. So it's still all here, and just questioning her. Why do you want to say that? Why do you want to put that on social media? Why do you want to go up to that politician's office and yell and scream? And so just questioning the behavior, but really, like she said, like grandma said, go somewhere and sit down and be still, is probably the most prophetic advice that anyone can give. So really teaching stillness, teaching the science of the mind and how it works, teaching breathing, because it's all about the breath. Without the breath, there is no life.
And also when you hold it, sometimes you don't even realize you're holding. I do that all the time. I'll be like, I'll be like stressed out holding it, and then I'll be like, hold on, a couple of deep breaths. It really makes a difference.
It does, because it's energy. So you think about turbulence on a plane. There's no big monster shaking the plane, but it feels very real. And it's just air. It's just energy. So it can be transformed. And when we teach young people that, when they're in that moment where they're really hot and they want to pop off, because they understand the science of it, it's like, okay, this is just energy. And if I'm still for long enough, it'll pass.
Amazing. So are you seeing significant,
we've seen significant results in our talk in the city alone. Last year we had a whole weekend where no one was shot. And so in New York, that hasn't happened in over 50 years.
Is that right?
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing.
And then we've had 6 days where no one was killed. Or it might be the opposite. 2 days where no one was killed, and then no. Yeah, it's right. 6 days when no one was killed. And then in our target area, we've gone up to 562 days with no one being shot. We went up to 4 years with no one being killed. And so those, and prior to us going into that area, it was 17 days, 17 people shot a year, 4 people killed a year. And so when you look at those numbers, even in our target area, that, and that's where the Supreme Team used to be and all of those different folks. And so there was a lifestyle. And so also the shift in the culture, like those things that used to be prevalent are not prevalent anymore as it was. And so we're teaching young people how to be entrepreneurs, how to start their own businesses, how to be yoga instructors, how to do different things, as opposed to looking to the street life. I saw somebody, this lady, she was saying challenging our kids to be developers, to be engineers, to be different types of things, because we don't get exposed to stuff. And exposing kids to more things allows their brain to go, allows them to see the opportunity that the world really is theirs. And so that's what we're doing at Life
And
Camp.
also emotional intelligence, right? Because we focus so much on the IQ and test scores, but we don't focus on the EQ, which is balance, even if you think about a studio board, right? And so you have people that achieve things, but if they don't have the emotional intelligence, then all of that can be destroyed based on the wrong decision or an emotional reaction.
That is such a jewel you just dropped. That is so important. And it seems very simple, but it's not that simple to master, but it's also really important.
And it's not taught in schools. So
you check on your kids. How'd you do on the test? What was that? But you checking?
Right.
How do you feel?
That's right.
Look at 6ix9ine.
Yeah. Oh my God.
6ix9ine witnessed a lot of trauma.
What do you make of the 6ix9ine situation?
I think 6ix9ine is a young person who did not get the help that he needed. He witnessed, that's PSD at its highest level. PTSD, PSD, PPD, every kind of P and D there is. He didn't get his help. And as a society, we fail a lot of our children. So when you look at the Meek Mill's case, right, that there was a lot of energy around that case, but there's hundreds of thousands of Meek Mills, right? And them going inside the institutions or being subject to the drugs that they give them to, quote, heal, those drugs make them worse, And so they set them up on a road for failure, and then you give them millions of dollars on top of that. That's a road to failure. And now, and he was a kid, like, you know, and we're holding him responsible for being an adult, you know.
But you are in touch with the streets and the street code or all that, and I feel like people have, because of how it went down, have completely turned their back on it. They have, right? Because
he went to the side of, quote, snitching, quote unquote, right? Mm-hmm. But when you look at, first of all, people are like, I'm down with the streets, I'm doing the street code, but they not really doing the street code, right? And they pick, like, say there's 10 codes, they pick 2. Mm-hmm. Right? They're not picking all 10.
Break that down, though. And people need to understand that.
So I challenge anybody who says they're OG, let's sit down and have a conversation, right? Because when you talk about the streets, I created a system here in New York. And I say I created a system because we sat in my living room. It was Supreme, Chaz, Tupac, Stretch, this other OG named Trooper. Like, we sat down in my living room and came up with the code to the street, the thug life, right? And implemented it. Supreme and them implemented one piece, keeping in touch with the guys in jail, right? And left me, the only woman in the room with all the hard work, right? In terms of building a system.
What year was this?
I don't know.
A decade.
This is an incredible story, Erica.
So we brought Tupac to Queens too. Fat Joe wasn't even a rapper, because I remember he cussed me out because I wouldn't let him cuss on stage, right? So that was, I think, 94. 94 is when we had Tupac at Roy Wilkins. So it was the 94, 93 year, right? 1994, 93, right? And so from that came the concept of what we have today, which is the crisis management system. And it's, how do we redirect the life of the brothers and sisters on the street? How do we help them get out the life? How do we help them protect themselves from the life? So on and so forth, right? And so we provide brothers and sisters with free legal services.
Wait a minute. You have to take me back to this meeting. We're going to get back to that. Take me back to this meeting, Erica. Who called this meeting?
I would assume me.
You called the meeting.
So
did you know Tupac at that point?
Yes, we were working together with the code. His father, stepfather in jail, Matula Shakur. We worked together. They wrote the code of Thug Life in jail, a lot of those older brothers, and then gave it to Tupac to make a reality. Tupac and myself, that's when I first met Chaz Williams, right? Who, rest his soul, passed away. And so we met in my living room. It was Preem, Chaz, Tupac, Stretch, and some other folks, and we talked about how do we, so like when you hear Tupac talked about the thing about getting the different rappers to come to the different hoods and give back and so on and so forth, that was all part of the code to the Thug Life, right? And so the Thug Life he had on his thing, I was part of the code part of the Thug Life, right? And so it was constantly working with the young people who people don't work with, right? And so
what were the codes?
The code was, one was no snitching, no shooting at parties, and I forgot the rest. But, you know, I could pull it up and send it to you. But we have a whole thing this is important. Yeah, we have a whole, you know, it's a picture
manuscript
with Pac and the whole thing.
So what are people getting wrong then? By the way, that's
first of all, people are not true to the streets. People aren't. So when you look, who is protecting the streets? I challenge anybody. You donating to freaking Cancer Society? This system that we built protects the streets. All of these rappers talking about they rep the streets, but they not supporting the people who are protecting the streets.
Yeah.
We are protecting people we are in them courts, in them jails, in them police precincts, on them front lines from all 5 sides of the guns.
Yeah.
We represent in every city the streets, right? And so if you saying you about the streets, then you got to be about us, because we can't just be feeding people into the prison system or into the graves, right? And so that's why I say you picking 1 or 2 parts of the code to the
because
life.
Even the snitching code, let's just take that for instance, that's supposed to mean
if me and you do
something together, but also isn't it the other part of that is because we're going to handle our community ourselves? Isn't that
so?
Really?
First of all, we're in the life, right? We're in the life. We do something together. I get caught. You don't. I then, for my ability to get out of the situation, say that you also did it, right? Or you did this, or you did that. That is snitching, right? If I'm not in the life, I can't snitch. And so every Tom, Dick, and Harry is calling everything snitching, but it's not. Because you, first of all, ain't in the life. You're not committing criminal activities. You're not doing things to get yourself or other people in jail. Mm-hmm. If you Mary Sue, you know Mary Sue in the hood,
civilian,
right?
But
you're a civilian. You see something that impacts your safety, you got to call somebody for help. Yeah. You a female in your house getting beat by your man, damn near killed, and you call for help. Were you supposed to die? Like, that's not snitching, mm-hmm. right? That's calling for help. And people need to stop just putting everything as a blanket, you snitching, you snitching, you snitching. Mm-hmm. It's not. And so when you go back to 6ix9ine, right? 6ix9ine, he through clout chasing, put himself in a lifestyle that he wasn't part of, mm-hmm. you know, and he should have never been in that. Like, he's an artist, mm-hmm. right? And so that's the other thing. We have to keep artists as artists and safe, because he's also was the ability for a lot of people to live, right? And so you don't mess that up.
A lot of people, I believe, tried to help him in certain ways.
No, I know a lot of people tried to help him. Mm-hmm. I was with, we tried to help him, right? A lot of people, I know that for a fact. And I'm only using him as an example of so many people who are known and unknown.
Yeah, and I talk about him too, because we were just talking about him yesterday, because I feel like, and I'm always I don't know, I tend to have a lot of sympathy for people that are tossed away.
Yes.
Even if it's because they committed some hood sin.
Yes.
Like, I don't like to throw people away.
I'm 1,000% with you.
You know
I'm 1,000%.
So I while people want to throw him away, I do have compassion for him, and I know what he's come from and what he's been through.
Yes.
And so I don't know. I just wonder your take and what do you do with, because he's an example, right?
Yes.
Of probably a ton of other people like him.
Yes.
What do you do with somebody like that? Not just a Tekashi 6ix9ine, exactly him, but in that position.
So the first thing, though, is a person has to want to help themselves, right? They have to, because you can't help somebody that doesn't want to help themselves. And I saw different people, like you said, Shadi, his man, I saw him trying to help him, you know, and so, and then there's so many pieces to that puzzle, you know, that we don't know about, and that people become victim to, right? And so it's easy for us to have these clout chasing conversations, right? But that's someone's life that has been destroyed tremendously, right? And so, and a lot of people's lives, because of his reaction to his life being destroyed. And they saw his vulnerability, and they're going to see other people's vulnerability and set them up in the same way, right? If we don't look to heal from our internal pain, right? Because it was his internal pain of what happened in his lifestyle, his father being killed in front of him, just his living in a condition that was unbearable for a long period of time, and then getting access to wealth, and then having to maintain the wealth. You have to, like, I struggle every day I'm trying to make payroll right now for tomorrow, right? But if I do something stupid on the radio or say something stupid, I'll get millions of dollars. If I die today, I'll get millions of dollars, right? And so to survive, it takes a lot. It takes a lot. And some people don't want to go back to the life that they knew. And so they give in to certain things. And I'm not promoting, but that's why more of us have to work together, even if it's 2% of our time, right? If we're really concerned about the streets, we got to heal the streets, right? We got to protect the future 6ix9ine so that they don't become a 6ix9ine and impact somebody else's life like he did. We can't just and then I think that constantly, people like him, we got to give different services to from a different space. But they have to want to really understand what they did and the impact of that.
I know. That's
and then,
challenge.
You know,
that's part of the
and
challenge.
then because you created an environment and then you switched on the environment. Like, you created that environment, you know?
If you don't own your stuff, you're always a victim, and then you can't change it.
Right.
So if everything that I did is because of something or someone outside of me, then that means I'm never going to have the capacity to change my life. So the first thing you have to do is own what you did, no matter what the circumstances were that caused you to do it. And that's anything. You know, ownership and accountability first, which is why when you go to AA, the first thing they make you do is confess and admit that you are, you know, that you've, you know,
you're an alcoholic.
You're an alcoholic,
or a drug addict.
so that you can change the behavior. So it's first ownership and accountability for anything.
Man, I love y'all.
We love you too.
And I said this downstairs when we were downstairs in the Peace Mobile. By the way, there's 5 of them running around the city, right?
Yes.
And the mayor paid for these, or the city paid for these?
The mayor paid for them.
But you have to maintain them.
We have to maintain it. We had just pulling it out.
You're trying to make payroll tomorrow.
Yes.
How's that looking?
It's not looking good.
Well, we gotta support you. This is when people say, "Yo, we gotta do stuff." This is what we gotta do. These are the people we have to support.
Yes.
I mean, it's, you know, support whoever you like. You want to do foundations. You want to go to this. You know that. That's all cool. But it's the people on the ground that are touching people directly that we have to support. So how do we support you?
Well, you can text the words "all in 4 peace." That's all in and the number 4 peace to 51555. So you'd send a text message to 51555, and the message is all in 4 peace. You can also go to lifecampinc.com or peaceIsaLifestyle.com to learn more about how you can donate.
How much does it cost you, let's say, per month to run that thing?
We haven't really done it yet.
Figure that in a day. It can be close to $1,000 just with gas.
And how are you getting that money? From donations?
So we get the basic money from the city to maintain the RV, right? But there's so much more needed. It's only to be serviced in a particular area, and so the like his party, Lugat Cash's party, wasn't in our target area, wasn't part of the precinct that we paid to work in, but we went there anyway. And so those type of things we're constantly doing.
And how do you fund that? With like donations or
yourselves? Selling T-shirts.
Yeah.
You know, or I mean, it's hard. Or I don't get paid all my money.
Yeah.
Right. You know, I've definitely, you know, it's a lot of hard work. And I found a code to the thug life.
Can we get that before we leave?
Yes.
Do you stand by this still, or no? This is flawed. This is flawed, or is it?
This is a code to the thug life that was made up by Tupac, his stepfather, and other folks. And so I think these are
pretty solid.
Yeah, slinging the children's against the code, having children sling is against the code. No slinging in school, carjacking in our hood. You could tell this is from different coasts.
I know. The language, like, you better say what slinging is for somebody who's...
Carjacking in the hood is against the code. Crew leaders and posses should select a diplomat and should work ways to settle disputes in unity. 3, there is strength. 1 crew's rat is every crew's rat. Rats are now like a disease. Sooner or later, they will get it. We all will get the disease, right? Snitches is out of here. The boys in no slinging.
What are you skipping, Erica?
Some things that can't be said on the radio. No slinging to pregnant sisters. The baby killings, that's genocide. And so now there's so many women getting shot. There's so many women getting stabbed. It is unbelievable the amount of women who are getting shot and stabbed.
Yeah.
Harm to children will not be forgiven. And so when you talk about harm to children, the children are the ones carrying out
13
crimes.
is the children.
Yes.
You know, yeah.
Attacking someone's home where their family is known to reside must be altered or checked. Senseless brutality and rape must stop. Our old folks must not be abused. Respect our sisters. Respect our brothers. Sisters in a life must be respected if they respect themselves. Military disputes concerning business areas within the community must be handled professionally and not on the block. No shootings at parties. Concerts and parties are neutral territories, no shootings. Know the code, it's for everyone. Be a real roughneck, down with the code of the thug life. So I think back in the days, you know, that was a different terminology. Yeah. Protect yourself at all time. Watts, Compton, and many other cities, gangs agree to use the code of thug life to help keep those who are innocent safer. The hate you gave little infants, F everyone.
Wow.
And this was 2003, but it was like 1990 something that we worked on this with Matulu and Sekou and Tupac.
Wow. Okay, and before we go, can you tell them again how people can support you?
Yes, thank you. So you can go to lifecampinc.com, peaceisAlifestyle.com, or you can text all in for peace. That's all in and the number 4 peace to 51555.
There it is. Peace Mobile. It's going to be at the summer barbecue, by the way.
All right, let's go.
And my summer barbecue, Peace Mobile will be outside.
We pulling up.